tell me a little bit about your thoughts on 18 for Chardonnay.
We went through what 3 or 4 years of drought vintages, you know, 14, 15, 16, 17. And then when 18 hit, we could just see right away that with the rainfall we got in 2017, 2018, really nourished the soil back up. And so the vines produced a really healthy, beautiful crop, very balanced crop. So, you know, when you see the stuff in the field, you right away will notice that as a winemaker that, oh, this could be potentially just an outrageously good vintage because the vines are balanced. They have a decent crop. You know, the vines have a lot of horsepower, and so they want to produce, you know, a really intensely flavored grape. And 2018 was that in a nutshell. We were able to produce super intense grapes, bring them in, and just have the wines were so reflective of the vintage being so concentrated.
So did you have like I was talking to a number of people like Paul Hobbs, but we were talking mostly about cab, but he said it was a general thing. And he said that he really had to crop thin a lot. And it was hard for him to work with some growers. Like in the end, he had to say, okay, I'll pay you by the acre.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, you know, Chardonnay, we do a lot of thinning irregardless of a heavy crop, you know, small crop. We're always thinning to fine tune things. But Chardonnay is very virulent and, well, how many times have you said these wines are really, you know, they're very expressive and brilliant and concentrated. Yeah. You know, it was a big harvest. We made like 20% more wine than we did in 2017.
Well, let's taste the wines. So what? So you want to start off with? Tell me which wine you want to start off with.
Yeah, we should do Hyde, Hudson, and then Shack.
Okay. Wow, this is beautiful.
Okay, so I know you're well versed on Hyde. You know a lot about Robert, right, and all that stuff. So I don't have to.
A really nice weight to this Hyde and really tight and.
Yeah, it has a really interesting like ginger peel.
Yes.
Lemon confit, some sort of it comes from the soil there. I think the most Chablis-like wine that we make is the Hyde. So we equate that to we call Carneros the Chablis of our repertoire. Cool. Very cold down there.
But it has, more like Grand Cru Chablis. It has very good density.
Yeah, it's old vines. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Old vine, yeah.
Okay, so let's try the Hudson.
The Hudson, yes. Now you'll notice right away that these two vineyards are within about a mile of each other, but look at the difference in soil type and the smell. The first thing I smell is like beeswax.
Yeah, it's so different. I agree.
So that's just the terroir at Hudson. It's got more volcanics.
And this has the acidity is wham on the finish in a really good way. It really gives it intensity and drive. That's a fantastic bottle.
Yeah, we're very happy with this is our fourth vintage of Hudson. We inherited the old Dave Ramey block.
Oh, okay.
So he stopped making Hudson single vineyard, and so I was asked to join the team down there, and they sold us his block.
It's insane. That's really fantastic and very minerally.
Yeah, it's definitely it has a nice complement of richness from this one's about 70% new barrels. So we're very we like using a lot of new wood on the Hudson because it really complements that beeswax, the minerality and the reduction you talked about.
Yeah, it's
really pretty.
So when you're making the wines, are you more reductive in the winemaking?
Yes, very reductive. We do everything to protect the juice when it comes in. The barrels are kept very full. We don't stir the lees. We conduct the natural fermentations. We use not a lot of SO2 as the wines are aging. So we let nature sort of take care of the wine itself versus us having a heavy hand with lots of sulfur.
Mm-hmm.
So we bottle with pretty low sulfur numbers on these wines. We want the wine to protect itself.
It's because there's some people, because of all the pre-mox issues in Burgundy, that all become, we have to go back to much more oxidative winemaking and not be, you know what I'm saying? So honestly, I don't have any opinion on it, because look at like your wines. Honestly, I've forgotten that you make them that way. And like, it could be easily the other way. You know what I'm saying? The wines have so much character and intensity and richness. And like you said, they don't seem very reductive.
No, I don't want the reduction to overshadow the work we do in the vineyard and in the winemaking. It can really become too heavily handed. And then you have a hard time. A lot of consumers don't like it. There's a difference between soil reduction and terroir versus winemaking reduction. Stinky, backward. They never open in the glass. They're very tight. I think that's really bad.
Now we're Sugar Shack.
Sugar Shack.
Is that your most popular crew, or not? Not necessarily.
No, I would say the most popular one's Lauren. It's Sugar Shack is just so flamboyant. I mean, here's a great example of we're growing grapes in Rutherford. We're right next door to Donna Estate. So this is right next to that's the Helms Vineyard.
I didn't realize. Oh, how cool. Yeah. Now I get it.
We share the same property line. So, everybody thought I was crazy to plant Chardonnay here, but I thought, you know what? Chardonnay is my raison d'etre. I love Chardonnay, so we're going to plant Chardonnay, and look how it turned out. It's
I'm glad you say that. I keep on, and that's why I chose you and Peter Michael for the top two wines from the U.S., because I think that for so long people have forgotten about Napa Chardonnay. It's amazing.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, and even just basic things. There's a real character to them and a real identity. And I think that, well, you're leading the way, but it's great to taste Carneros or Rutherford or wherever it's made. It really has a unique character to it. And now it's talking to you in a more, it's so funny. And like we've met many times, we never talked about a number of things we talked about today. And I like what you were saying. It's something very unique to have fresh Chardonnays with high alcohol.
Yeah. So that's something that we've sort of coined the phrase undeniably Aubert.
Yeah.
Undeniably, no one else has this style except us. Quite frankly, that we know all the competition. Kongsgaard's close to our Peter Michael's close, but I think undeniably we have this style locked down tight across 8 different cuvées, soon to be 9. And Sugar Shack was sort of the team leader when it came to the stylistic impression of a 15.5 alcohol Chardonnay.
Wow.
The 2019 is a mirror image of the 2018. It's so amazing.
It's layered.
But it's the genetics from Montrachet. That's what carries this wine.
Oh, okay.
It's got genetics. We have cuttings from Le Montrachet, and they've been in California for about. I had them when I was at Peter Michael in the 90s, so it's been in California since the 1980s. This clone, and it's been propagated by a few people like myself, and it's just so versatile.
Did you bring the cuttings, or you got it from someone?
I got it from someone, but he brought them over in a suitcase. So it's a suitcase clone. They went into the vineyard and cut it, took a few buds and brought it back.
But has it been around for a long time?
In California, yeah, it's since about the early 80s it came over.
What do we move to now, Mark?
Let's go to East Side.
The wines are around 15, but if you drink a bottle, it doesn't feel that. It's not like drinking a 15 red.
So you disagree that the alcohol, you agree that the alcohol doesn't make any difference about headaches or dehydration and all that?
Yeah, at least with I didn't even really think about it a lot until this conversation that your alcohols are 15 or slightly above. And
Yes.
I would have never really thought that.
Well, one thing that we're, like I mentioned earlier, that we have lower SO2 levels. SO2 will give you a headache pretty quickly in white wine if it's really high, coupled with high alcohol. You'll get a headache after maybe 2 glasses.
Yeah.
But since we have lower SO2 levels, this glutathione thing, and high quality winemaking that drink up. There's a little bit of residual sugar in some of the vintages, so that helps, I think, with your blood sugar level stuff. But quite frankly, really great wine. I never get a hangover from really great, Old Bordeaux. I can drink a whole bottle of Old Bordeaux and no problem.
Me too. That's my point.
Exactly. All right, so you want to do East Side?
Yeah, really good, fresh, but nice intensity. Very seamless.
Can you visualize it's almost like perfumed gravel. There's a rocky.
I get some, again, I'm getting some flintiness and white pepper and.
Yeah, it hits the nose with. Now this is the one that definitely benefits from the decanting. It's definitely one of the most complex Chardonnays we make. It just needs time to open up. So here's Montrachet, in its prime. I mean, the rootstock here is an old rootstock from Burgundy from France called Ripari Galore. Yeah,
sure.
Ripari is a very famous rootstock.
That's the first one. That's that's the basis in Europe.
It's one of the ones that was lime tolerant. Came from America.
Where do we go now to?
We're going to go to UVSL.
Okay, yeah, that's right. You said that.
This vineyard in particular is the closest to the ocean. It's about 7 miles away. So it gets a lot of maritime influence up here. It's our highest vineyard. It's about 2,000 feet above sea level. So it's up on the hills above the Russian River, Sonoma coast. Very opulent in the mouth, very dense, rich. It has
more of a roundness, and the texture is so much different than the east side. Yeah.
And the Napas.
Yeah.
So we planted this vineyard in 2006. So it's 12 years old now, 13 years old.
Really good.
It's farmed by the very famous, the vignerons, the Valdez family.
Oh, sure. Yeah, of course. Yeah, I met them.
Ulysses and his family. But it has a little honeycomb, almost like a little bit of beeswax here.
Totally. A total beeswax. I agree.
But the weight in the mouth is what really impresses, I think, us in general. Is it's got this wonderful weight.
Very much so.
It's nothing that, it's bone dry, so it has no sugar. What you're tasting is just pure Chardonnay extract.
I agree with you. It has an intense fruitiness. But then it goes dry on the end.
Which it should.
Super drinkable. Now what then?
Go to Powder House.
Okay.
We bought this in 2008. We found a really good deal on this piece of land. It was when the stock market and the real estate market crashed. There were a lot of good deals to be had in 2008. So we scooped this it was an old apple orchard, scooped it up, planted my favorite clones of Chardonnay here. So this is the very famous Hyde clone. So Powder House is all Hyde.
Do you think that clones have more of an effect on the wine in Chardonnay than, say, Pinot Noir?
I think it's equally important. We find that in any realm we're in, the genetic material is very important. If we were talking about Cabernet, I could talk your ear off about genetics of. of Sauvignon Blanc, and Chardonnay is no different. And it's really how you, if you're an architect in a vineyard, and you develop a vineyard, we mix two different rootstocks in powder house to give us a level of ripeness that's a little multi-dimensional, meaning that we have one rootstock that ripens a little quicker and one that ripens a little slower. So
okay, smart. But then do you keep them separate, or you?
Yes. So almost kind of in-house, we think this is very savory. You can taste the acidity and the alcohol make this really nice sensation on the palate.
You can feel the alcohol just like on the end.
Yep.
But it's sort of not annoying. It's just like part of the experience, the sensation. Okay, let's try. So now we go to
CIX.
It really smells like, probably not Montrachet, but like a Puligny Montrachet.
This one's got a lot of powdery white.
Amazing.
So what makes this one very unique is that there's a lot of volcanic ash in the vineyard site, and it's mixed in with this very famous soil called Goldridge. You've heard of Goldridge, right?
Yeah, of course, yeah.
What Goldridge is. Goldridge is ancient seabeds. It's very sandy and it's got a lot of clay in it, and it's all these 100 million year old seabeds. If you dig down, you can find seashells and old crustaceans and things in the soil.
Is it really high in chalk then, or not?
No.
In limestone, no.
You can't even measure there's no calcium, but there's no calc there, so it's not. There is some calcium minerals in it, but it's not really high in it.
Okay, because some places with seabed, with like in Tuscany or in parts of Mendoza, they have high limestone as well with the shells.
I wish we had. We don't. But what we do have is volcanic ash. And so the ash is I would almost call it like a faux limestone. So we have the volcanic ash gives us this shift in flavor that we sort of describe it as like a powdery white flowers.
That's pretty crazy. Again, it seems a little bit lighter or more delicate, but then the alcohol's there, and so but it has a much different structure than the other wines. Do you so in making the wines, is it all tweaked in the cellar to, let's say, to the terroir, or is it basically just making them all in a very similar fashion, which allows the terroir to come out? Because the wines are all so very different. Does that make sense, my question? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So I would say yes to both. Yes to vinifying them in a similar fashion, and yes to letting the sites speak for themselves. So I like to intervene too much.
Yeah.
Because if you have too heavy of a hand in the cellar, then the wines will start smelling like the winemaker's palate.
Yeah.
Well, so we try to preserve and the best way to do this is to have a diversification of sites. So the last vineyard we pick usually is CIX.
Okay.
The pick is Sugar Shack. And so you get a large dichotomy of ripeness levels and sites. The matrix here, to be honest with you, last year we had, I think, over 40 lots of Chardonnay.
Wow.
Amongst these cuvées. So 8 wines makes about 40 lots. That's a lot of different lots.
Yeah, that's a lot of work.
But we're very diligent, and we want to make sure that, CIX, for instance, has 7 different Chardonnay blocks. Yeah, but it's a big deal here. We're serious players. We like to.
No, I know like that, mate. I know that's why I give you big scores, but now and that's all the work and amazing things you're doing. You're at the top of your game. Okay, so the last wine is the Lauren.
So Lauren's a freshman at Cornell University. We're very proud of her. All right, Lauren's the Grand Cru of the repertoire. This is our flagship. My wife and I bought this property in 1999 and planted it, and got it going. And
the finish it has a really different weight to it, where the finish, it comes across really rich on the finish, like the impact at the beginning isn't that intense, and then it just builds. It's very different than the other wines, the texture, in a really great way.
And I'll tell you why. It's because it's the oldest in front of us. It's the oldest vineyard.
Ah, okay, interesting.
So it's the oldest vines. Hudson would be second oldest. So if you like the weight of Hudson and Lauren, if you think there's a parallel.
That's exactly what I was. Yeah.
You're very intuitive. That's what I would have said too, because it's old vines just have this opulence.
Yeah.
Depth comes with older age. I'm not really sure what it is. I don't think there's an easy answer to this, but the one thing we do know is that Lauren is very reliable when it comes to harvest dates. I can tell you in 2021 what the harvest date of this will be, probably, if I just study it for a little while. Even if we have a heat wave, even if you have a drought, even if you have a snow or a frost, every year we pick within like 2 or 3 days of year to year. I'm not kidding. And
do you think, and how old are the vines then?
Well, they're nearly 20. They're almost 21 years old. 1999. So it's 99. That's 20. It's 20 years old.
Yeah.
Or is it 19? 20.
Is it high density or?
It's this one is 1,500 vines an acre, which is pretty dense for California standards. But what's amazing about it is I think it's location and its site specific. So it's on this little hill overlooking this valley, and it gets the sun, the sunset, the sunrise, the winds, all this stuff play a really important role in its ripeness. And it's just it's right in the middle of the Russian River at AVA, and it's so you can imagine if you're a student of viticulture, you can be very, very planned out, which is really important in this business because, with all the distractions we've had in the past few vintages with fires, heat waves, and power shutoffs and all this crap, I know that this is going to be ready on September 10th, more or less, right? So I can plan, I can gear all of my viticulture towards that goal of having it ready around September 10th. And that makes a very busy winery that one less thing to worry about, and one less thing it's very reliable in its ripeness. We know it's going to be this kind of flavor at this date. It takes a lot of the guesswork out of it, put it that way.
Honestly, it's such a great wine, the finish.
Yeah, I'm not spitting. It's time to.
Yeah, I know. It's just not even 10 yet. Yeah, I didn't even have a coffee yet because I didn't want to mess up my palate. I think it's a phenomenal wine, and perfect wine to finish with too. Just like incredible depth and length, and I'm in awe.
I think you'll, and if you notice, they have the. I always tell people about the green tint on when you hold the glass on the side and you look at the edge of the color, when you see that green light being reflected, that's always indicative of a very youthful vintage, and the glutathione is, helping these wines be prevented from oxidation. So you want to look for the green.
Do you think that this is one of the greatest wines you've made?
The 19's even better, we think.
Oh my God.
Yes, when you taste the 19, I think we think the 19 vintage is stronger than 17 and 18.
Mark, thanks a lot. I appreciate you staying at the winery and tasting on Friday, but I'm having a great Saturday morning in Hong Kong tasting your amazing Chardonnays.
Well, thank you, James, and I really appreciate your accolades. You know, really resonated to us. That I really appreciate your work there. Excuse me. That
you guys are just doing amazing things. Like, really, it's such a pleasure to talk to you. And this is one of the most fascinating Zoom calls I've had all year. I really learned a lot about what you're doing, but also made me think about Chardonnay in America, but Chardonnay around the world. So thanks for being such an amazing winemaker and viticulturalist.
Well, thank you.
Ciao, bye.
Okay.